Bertolt Brecht on the occasion of 125th birth anniversary. On 10th February afternoon, when I was very much in Adda mood with some of my colleagues at college canteen, at that time, one of my young friends and colleague told me, "Sir, today is the 125th birth anniversary of Bertolt Brecht, the famous German playwright. It will be better if we arrange a seminar on Brecht in our drama club of the college." Instantly, I responded him, "Fine, I am ready too. I am not a student of English literature and had a little bit of knowledge on this topic. Yet, it is my humble attempt to say something on this topic to pay tribute to Brecht. Art is not a mirror which to reflect reality, but a hammer with which to shape it," says Bertolt Brecht. Bertolt Brecht was one of the most influential playwrights of the 20th century. His works include the Threepenny Opera 1928 with composer Kurt Weill. Brecht was born in Augsburg, Bavaria in 1898, and two world wars directly affected his life and works. He wrote poetry when he was a student but studied medicine at Ludwig Maximilian University of Munich. After military service during World War I, he abandoned his medical studies to pursue writings and the theatre. A member of the Independent Social Democratic Party, Brecht wrote theatre criticism for a socialist newspaper from 1919 to 1921. His plays were banned in Germany in the 1930s, and in 1933 he went into exile, first in Denmark and then Finland. He moved to Santa Monica, California in 1941, hoping to write for Hollywood. But he drew the attention of the House Un-American Activities Committee. Although he managed to deflect accusations of being a communist, he moved to Switzerland after the hearings. He relocated to East Berlin in 1949 and ran the Berlin Ensemble, a theatre company. His famous plays are Mother Courage and Her Children, 1939, The Life of Galileo, 1939, The Good Omen of Sad June, 1942, The Caucasian Child Circle, The Crutches, The Rise and Fall of the City of Mahagony, etc. He wrote near about 50 plays, 2,000 catalogues and poetry, and numerous songs. As a director, he introduced a new technique in his theatre, which was different from the existing dramatic theatre of his time. That was popularly known as the alienation effect. In acting, an approach intended to keep the audience emotionally uninvolved in the plights of the characters. Brecht used the German word Verfremdungseffekt, or in short, V effect, which means estrangement or make a distance from the audience. It encouraged the audience to question about the scene. While the dramatic theatre spectator says, "Yes, I have felt like that too, just like me, it's only natural, it will never change. I weep when they laugh. I laugh when they laugh." On the other hand, the epic theatre spectator says, "I did never have thought it. That's not the way. That extraordinary, hardly believable. It's got to stop. I laugh when thy weep. I weep when thy laugh. Brecht introduced a new style and language against the traditional dramatic theatre or Aristotelian theatre. This new style or form became popular as epic theatre. The main purpose or the aim of epic theatre is to make the audience aware about the ongoing circumstances of the time. This movement does not aim at keeping the audience under the illusion, but to see them, the real world, and make judgments on them. Brecht wanted that the audience should question, think what they are watching. In fact, the real intention of Brecht was that he could not support the capitalist system, and thus he wanted to raise the voice against this unjust system. Erwin Piscator first coined the term epic theatre to encourage the playwrights to address issues related to the contemporary society or contemporary existence. This form is quite different from the Aristotelian concept of drama or the traditional dramatic theatre. Again, epic theatre was a kind of political theatre which raises the contemporary political issues. Brecht was a Marxist and made his theatre highly political. His work was often mischievous, provocative, and ironic. He wrote the famous anti-war play Mother Courage and Her Children. Brecht desired to break the fourth wall in his epic theatre, where the wall between the audience and the actors on stage is broken, rather than allowing the audience to sit passively and get lost in the show. The actors will sometimes directly address the audience with a speech, comment, or a question, breaking the fourth wall. Brecht used the technique of narration. Narration is used to remind the audience that they are watching a story. It is not the real world. Sometimes the narrator will tell the audience what is about to happen in the story before it happens, because if the audience knows the outcome, then they may not get the emotionally involved. Some of the Brecht's work includes songs, music, and dance. This helps to remind the audience that are not watching real life. Sometimes the songs are juxtaposed ironically with the cheery upbeat music and with dark lyrics. Brecht introduced gestus in his epic theatre. Gestus is gesture or attitude from a character. It was a form of physical expression to show the relationships between people in society. Brecht generally used fragmentary costumes or props in his theatre, which are symbolic in nature. He used songs and placards as well as hearse lightings. He introduced multi-rolling as well as split role within the same drama. Thus, Brecht's work is the most important and original in European drama. He was the most important materialist writer in our time. He is still very much relevant in the present-day theatre movement. He was the voice of oppressed, and so long as there will be the working class people and exploitation in this world, the name of Brecht will remain alive. Thank you.